Welcome to episode 11 of the Poker Face podcast. The game is a foot.
In this week's episode, we meet Amber Krasinski and her four identical sisters Bibi, Cece, Didi and Felicity. When their mother dies and leaves a huge inheritance stolen from them as children to their secret fifth sister, mild-mannered Amber takes the question of succession into her own hands. With the line between truth and lies getting a little blurry, can Charlie pin down the perpetrator? Or will this killer manage to leg it?
Yes, it is sex.
Sex.
No, that's
sex.
why you call it sex.
Sex.
It's sex.
It's Latin. Sex.
It's Latin.
Sex.
Good afternoon, Ian. How are you?
I'm not too bad. How are you, Gerry? What's on your mind?
6 on the brain.
You've got sex with six?
What, her from Blossom? You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
No. I genuinely
What's her
do not.
name? Van Soik or something? That sort of Dutch sounding name. Irritant. I feel actually I've mentioned her before for some. I don't know why I mentioned 6 from.
Always on your mind.
From Blossom. Anyhow, it's good to be back.
Back to Poker Face. Some folk will have skipped the last 18, 19 episodes of Matlock coverage.
If you have, sort yourself out.
Yeah, it's worth going back and watching Matlock.
It's a good show, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not what you think. If you don't like the original Matlock, that may surprise you.
And if you do like the original Matlock, you should still give it. It's not the same. Don't go in expecting the same and then being angry about it. No.
But it's very well done. Kathy Bates is top notch, as you'd expect.
Yes.
Anyway, we're not here to talk about Matlock.
Not for long. Just a wee promo.
Have you been looking forward to season 2?
So much
Yeah.
for so long. Very excited for this.
Indeed. Now, we should say, you are watching ahead, so at this point, you've watched the first four, is that right?
I have seen the first 4.
I'm watching it live, so I don't know what's coming up.
You've got it on right now.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'll be giving you, in this situation, you're perhaps the expert, certainly more.
I'm not sure expert. I've certainly seen it longer ago, if that helps.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to discuss these episodes with us or anything else that we've been talking about, they can get hold of us at the usual social media channels. We're at Columbo Podcast on X, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can get show notes at columbopodcast.com. And as you may have found out 7 days ago, every episode is released 1 week early on our YouTube channel, Columbo Podcast Productions, where we encourage you to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode.
Before we begin, I think we should perhaps discuss the tonal change in the show that I noticed just in this one episode. Now, again, you've watched other episodes, so maybe it changes, maybe it goes back. I felt, and I'm not sure if it's a pro or a con,
Okay.
but it felt the humour's always been dark and the show's always been a bit, not quite surreal, but a bit off-kilter, which has been brilliant. But in season 1, the threat, the hasps or frosts.
It was quite a dark threat.
It was dark and you felt it was serious and legitimate and quite authentic.
Okay.
In episode 1 here, and we'll get to this, but there are sort of bumbling, cartoonish characters, hitmen.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, that this doesn't, I don't know,
It was a bit like the mob guys in Sister Act or that episode of Quantum Leap when they're in the comedy club.
yeah, I mean, it's a trope of those type of maybe family PG-13 style thrillers, like Cop and a Half, which is, you've not seen Cop and a Half, have you? With
Of course not.
Burt Reynolds.
No.
Or even, say, Police Academy, is it 5 Miami Beach? Anyway, where there's these sort of, the mafia type who are just bumbling, they're fools, they're buffoons. And yeah, so it's got that more family-friendly edge to it, if you will.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I don't think we'll be talking about this for too long.
Okay, fine. What we do want to talk about is this week's episode. So unless you have anything else,
I do not.
let's crack on.
We can quickly brush over the season 1 recap, given that we are all up to speed, having watched the whole of season 1 in preparation for season 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If anyone is not sure what happened in season 1, there's a podcast you can listen to.
Oh,
just
yeah.
in depth.
Absolutely.
into the
Episode
show.
by episode, scene by scene, and line by line in many cases.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that the previous threat to Charlie is gone, but Beatrix, Hasp, and the 5 families are now pursuing her to whatever ends she reaches.
We then have the familiar yellow credits and font with no theme, just like Columbo, before the episode title is displayed.
Yes, the game is afoot. And then we get some dramatic music playing as these titles are followed by an in-oven shot of a clay artwork, which is removed from the kiln by a woman with big hair.
Oh yeah, she's got very big hair. Yeah, it's a very sort of intense score, and I think that the music we've discussed before, the score in the show is important. It's vital. Obviously, it's Ryan Johnson's brother who provides it.
Yes,
Is it Nathan? I think it is.
I believe it could be. There's an interesting moment here right at the start, which I think is a motto that the show adopts and is displayed prominently here, where it says, on one of these clay models, the enemy of creativity is self-doubt. And I don't think this is a show that ever really shows any kind of self-doubt.
No,
it's all in on what it's doing.
Of course. So this person with the big hair, she removes these figures from the oven before heading past a picture of 4 very similar looking young women and heading upstairs to a bedroom.
So this is ahead. So these models that she's making are now finished and painted, and we see as she enters a bedroom that they are basically clay busts of herself and another woman.
She's bringing lunch to an older lady who turns off a crime show on the TV and sneers at the notion that the spangled garbage is a demonstration of the other woman branching out as an artist, and mocks her as, what is it she calls her? The Gauguin of Ezia, I think it is. Now, so a couple of things here. Firstly, I said, wait a second, that's Jasmine Guy. Now, you, again, probably not particularly familiar with Jasmine Guy.
No, I mean, obviously I've looked her up having
Since,
watched this.
But back in the day, so she was in a spin-off of the Cosby Show.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of folk who are going to be very upset when they see her playing the older, dying mother.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So for me, a bit like John Ratzenberger in season 1,
Yeah.
in my mind, this person is still in the sort of 80s, 90s, and while she was some looker. So I think it's another world. But then she was also with Eddie Murphy in Harlem Nights.
Okay.
She always played a very haughty, maybe slightly snobbish, aloof type of character.
Okay.
She knew that she was good looking, that type of person. So yeah, I saw her here and I went, oh, wait a second. But I mean, we all got older, and maybe she's also aged up slightly, I don't know. And
we learn that these two are mother and daughter, and before we get very much further, the doorbell sounds.
yes, okay, let's just, because there's lots of names and people going about here, and it can get complicated. So the mother is Norma, and the daughter is Amber, yes. But their relationship is clearly frayed. And as I alluded to there, we also see that Norma has health issues. She's got these tubes up her nose,
She does.
etc.
Well, we hear from her now. She says to Norma that the lawyer is the person who's ringing the doorbell because she's redoing her will, as having learned that she's due to die soon, staring into the eyes of death teaches her what's really important, and she wants to reward the people who haven't disappointed her in her life.
Yes, I mean, she literally says, Amber, you are the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, it's quite clear that she has no real time for her daughter.
No, I mean, Amber's irritated. She points out that the other sisters aren't there looking after her. Norma complains that the soup is tepid. I think this is, bearing in mind what happens to her. It's good that there's no redeeming features. You don't feel guilty about
what happens to Norma. No. And we hear worse about her later on.
Indeed.
Outside, we skip ahead to the end of the lawyer's meeting with Norma, and he's now leaving the building, and Amber is waiting outside, wanting to discuss with him what he has been working on. Yes,
he is called Paul, and fortunately, he is not very good with client confidentiality.
He's got verbal diarrhea.
Well, I actually noted it's almost Tourette's.
Yeah.
That he cannot help himself.
Yeah.
The self-confessed people pleaser doesn't take much persuasion and reveals that Amber has been left out of Norma's will.
Yes, and not, as she suspects, in favour of her sisters.
No, they're getting nothing either. I mean, firstly, she literally screams out that she deserves this money. She's been there looking after. She's sort of given up her...
Yeah, this is her outrage, is that her mother is cutting her out to favour the sisters who haven't looked after her. But that's not the case.
No, everything, including the house and all the royalties, he mentions, is going to who?
Felicity.
Who the F is Felicity?
We'll find out about Felicity in due course, but Amber is very distressed, and Paul is also a bit upset at what he's done.
Yeah. Inside, a quick Google check.
She's a mixed martial artist.
Yeah, she's a mixed media artist.
That's not a real thing.
It's not. Well, it probably is.
What's a mixed media?
Different types of media. So you're not just a painter. You could be doing all sorts.
Or you paint and do
mixed
photos.
Yeah, and sculpture and whatever.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd imagine they're sort of jacks of all trade.
Yeah. As Amber goes through this search, something on the screen surprises her, but we do not see at this point what it is.
No, but we do find out that she lives in rural Vermont, and we get the first instances of her catchphrase.
Butt munch.
And so this is where we head.
Yes, we join her en route to Vermont,
where she finds Felicity living off the grid in a trailer, welding a large metal sculpture.
Yes. And this is a thing they use another time in this episode as well, where they conceal Felicity's face at first to give us a bit of a surprise.
Mm-hmm. So she timidly approaches and asks if she is the said Miss Price. And when the welding mask is raised, they're both quite taken aback.
Oh, they're identical.
It appears that they're looking at each other's doppelganger, although they've got different aesthetics. And this is something they do throughout in this episode, obviously for good reason.
The styling folk have had a ball with Cynthia Erivo in this episode.
Inside the trailer, Felicity is understandably having trouble processing the information that she suddenly has this new family and wonders how Amber found her. And she's told a lie about her seeing a photo at a gallery.
Cool look. Oh, I took that before I moved out here. Off the grid. If you ask anyone in the art world who Felicity Price is, that's who they will describe. And I don't even recognize that person anymore. I've been completely isolated for about a year now. Stripped everything away. Fashion, style, to see what was left. Only the art can reveal the artist, right? Totally. I'm also an artist. I make polymer clay figurines, and I've been featured 3 times on Etsy. Cool. Wow. A long-lost twin. It's like finding a missing piece of myself. It's hilarious, isn't it? Did you grow up with her dad? Oh, shit. Yeah, we have the same dad. Benny's dead. Yeah, I'm sorry if you wanted to meet him. If it's any consolation, he was a complete asshole. He drove us drunk straight into a light pole when I was 17. How horrible. What about our mom? Dead. Yeah, dead. Norma. She had this rare disease, all of her bones shattered inside her. It was so agonizing, so much pain and so much screaming. Wow.
At this point, Amber offers to take a new profile picture for Felicity.
And she, I was going to say reluctantly, but she doesn't put up much of a fight. She allows this to happen, and we see Amber getting a lot of close-ups of her face and different areas of her body, obviously trying to capture her essence.
Indeed, and we head back to the big house.
A few days later, as we see jewellery arrive that allows Amber to take on the appearance of Felicity, including nose ring and dungarees.
Paul has been visiting the property again, and he sees this new look as he departs.
He asks if she's okay, and she responds rhetorically that her mother is dying. How does he think she is? And while at the same time sending these new pictures to her sisters, informing them that she's going through some changes. So she's setting up her plan here.
We then skip upstairs to the bedroom where Norma is having it seems a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, now there is a moment of, it looks like, genuine concern. She starts to, I suppose, shudder, but when her oxygen mask is removed, Amber finds what?
She's just laughing at her.
her new style that makes her look like...
the fat plumber from the movies, she says. And Amber clearly disagrees because in her view, Mario wears red.
However, it is Amber who has the last laugh.
Yes, Norma at this point begins to struggle for breath and Amber withholds the medication she requires, telling her she can now go.
Yes, she watches on callously as her mother dies in front of her. So outside, and after the body is removed, she sends a laconic message to the sisters, informing them that their mother has died. The funeral's on Friday.
You see in the group chat, she's just got them saved as B, C, and D.
Yes. I also like the responses.
What were those?
Well, the first one is from, I think it's Cece, who I think is a typo. She says, Mon Dio?
Mon Dieu.
Mon Dieu.
That's French for my God.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Ah, right, yes. I thought it was like Mom died and it's just typos.
It's French, so we find out later that Cece speaks.
Yes, we do. That makes more sense now. Yeah, I don't speak French, yes. Right, very good, yeah. And she also asks where Delia is, followed by a thumbs up emoji from BB.
Up.
Amber then messages Felicity and invites her over the following Friday for the funeral.
Yes, and she's already told her that her mother's dead, so she doesn't mention the funeral to Felicity. She just invites her to the house. She says, I've seen your home, you come and see mine.
Yes. So, next Friday, as she leaves the house, a purposeful Amber tells the florist to leave the flowers inside with her sisters before she gets into her car. Where does she go?
The Bluff.
A cliffside, yes. And after an impressive drone shot, we see her standing there as Felicity arrives and is talking about the weird message received about their mother dying and this will.
Yes, but she's very surprised to find Amber cosplaying as her.
When you say surprised, I would say disturbed.
She says, what in the living F?
And then realises that she is probably in a spot of bother as Amber marches straight up to her, claiming that she has everything she wants and everything she deserves. But before they can talk, what happens?
They have a scuffle and one of them goes over the edge of the cliff, but they both look the same, so it's impossible to know who it is.
For a few seconds, until Amber immediately records a video message for her sisters claiming that the death of Norma means that she now can't go on, and when they find her body after she's jumped, it's definitely going to be her.
When you find my body, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
And I suppose this is another example of the slightly more comic tone of the show. This person isn't acting in any way. These people themselves don't at all act in any way realistically.
They're all a little bit odd, aren't they? But I think that's partly attributable to their childhood, which we get into a little bit, and also partly for comedy effect.
Yes. Okay, so she hits the send button and then starts to upload it, but there's a problem.
Yeah, she looks over the edge to make sure that the victim has died and gets a bit of a shock.
What's that?
Her leg is still hanging at the top of the cliff and the rest of her is at the bottom.
Yes, it's a prosthetic leg stuck at the top, and this obviously means that she's going to get caught. The body cannot be
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we next see her turning the flight mode on her phone so the video doesn't send before heading down to the ground level and noting that nothing is ever easy.
Fortunately, there's quite an obvious solution for her.
Yeah, quite conveniently, there's an unguarded train track with an approaching train.
Yes, so Amber places part of the body or the leg on the track and lets the engine take care of the rest. Now,
you have expected the music to go deadly.
Yes. This, and she also lets out a holy butt munch, but again, another example. In real life here, the train driver, there's no sign of it blowing its horn or trying to hit the brakes and stop. It just travels on. It's like, there's a body in the way, fine, it's not my fault.
Doesn't even see it.
Yeah, it's pretty barren, isn't it?
He's having a cup of coffee or something.
Yeah, on his phone.
Yeah, dealing with the hobos riding the rail.
Mm-hmm. You do see this in the more sort of comedy or the more comic movies and TV shows where it's not a big deal that, this trope in itself, trains will smash by cars on level crossings and just continue on in the distance.
Yeah, well, I suppose they'd be used to roadkill and stuff like that. Or who knows? She
gets into the truck, restarts the upload, and applies lipstick as she readies herself to take on the new identity of Felicity.
She waits till she's outside the house before she sends this video.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we see is what is obviously Charlie's car approaching the bluff, where we get a view up from over the edge of the cliff.
Yes, and we see 1, 2, 3 identical sisters, although again styled quite differently,
Yeah.
peer over the side to see their fourth sister. Although the lacklustre reaction speaks to their level of concern. It's very good shorthand. Like we've established already, they're self-obsessed. They are terrible
Largely
people.
strained, I think.
Yeah. We then see Paul open the door to a beaming now Felicity,
What's Amber?
who is there about the inheritance.
Were you always quite straight on which one was Amber?
Yeah.
Okay. We then get a rewind, and Charlie's theme tells us we're about to find out where she fits into this story.
Yes, we've got a catch-up montage, and in true Columbo... See, that's the thing. We will have mentioned it in season 1, but the structure of Columbo, where you don't meet the hero until about the sort of 20-minute, 15-20-minute mark, carries on here. So we get a couple of examples of what she's been up to with her sort of cash-in-hand jobs.
Yeah, but it's not far removed from last season, where she takes on a position here and there. She's working in a car park with a guy called Cookie, who is reading a book that he described as very second wave, which I can tell you about now or later.
Later.
Okay. And 2 hitmen working for Beatrix Hasp show up and chase Charlie away.
Again, this is... I wasn't comfortable with. They shout something about Beatrice Hasp. We've been sent by... These are hitmen announcing to everyone else who they're working on behalf of.
You're taking it too seriously.
I am.
And also it's a warning to Charlie. That's why they would be shouting. They're not maybe trying to kill her. Which would explain why they're missing.
I don't think that'd be the best warning. I think grabbing hold of her, shoving her in the back of a truck, taking her to a barn, giving her a bit of a beating. Anyway, where do we next year?
It's a Halloween sort of festival.
Well, I think it's called the Haunted Hayride.
Yes, and she's sitting there with a zombie whilst dressed herself as a mummy.
Talking about capitalism, I think. Or...
Late stage capitalism apparently is turning everyone into zombies, which is why they need to unionise. Charlie, though, says she's not a zombie, she's a mummy.
That's true.
They then leap out to scare a group of visitors in the back of a truck, but are themselves surprised when the gunmen are part of the group.
And we finally catch up with her at her current gig.
An orchard.
Yeah, picking apples alongside Delia, who covers for her when the goons are drive in asking if anyone's seen her.
This is the second time that we get thing where the face is covered.
Yes.
Initially, so we don't see it's an identical.
She's the only one, however, wearing it.
Yes. Well, somebody else has got a white net on, but she's the only one.
It's almost like a beekeeper's.
Yeah. I don't know if apples are dangerous or not. But.
Anyhow, at the end of their shift, and with a very cool lens shot, a little bit like Easy Rider, where the sunlight is reflecting down a certain way, Delia asks who Charlie is running from, and she makes light of crossing the wrong crime boss.
Yeah. She thinks that she recognises Delia from somewhere.
Yes, and is gobsmacked to hear how she was a child actor on the show. What was it?
Kid Cop Nights.
She could hardly stop herself shouting out to the other workers that they've got a...
Oh, she doesn't stop herself. She does yell.
Well, yeah.
And then we see some footage from the show which starred the Kaczynski sisters as Cassidy Kidd. So they obviously job shared in that role. Yeah,
well, we see that. So they're now in a food barn. So it's a barn that's been converted for the workers to
very reminiscent of the barbecue.
The stall.
In season 1.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, so they're sitting there, they're watching this show on one of their iPads. And we hear the phrase butt munch.
The scene itself is fantastic. There's this young kid cop who can't tell the difference any longer between where she ends and where this woman that she's been pretending to be, the drug dealer, drug mule, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Delia points out that the terrible acting in this scene is not her. She did some of the episodes, but not this one.
Yes, we find out that they were in fact, or she is in fact, a part of a quadruplet.
Yes, and this was her sister, Amber, who she refers to as Hamber, putting in the terrible performance.
And the reason for this was obviously they're shooting at night.
And there's 23 episodes a year.
Yeah, so it's in terms of regulations, kids can't do that very easily. Probably can only work for an hour at a time.
Delia indicates, however, that it was not the fun childhood it could have been because their mother, Norma, set them against one another at every chance that she got.
Not only that, but she gave her drinks to settle her nerves, and this resulted in her being in 5 rehabs before realising that she had to get her out of her life, to get sober. And this, obviously, there's a resonance here, I'd imagine, with Natasha Lyonne, who
Perhaps.
herself was a child star, had well-publicised issues with substances, and is estranged from her family. So,
Autobiographical elements.
indeed.
Norma also took all of the money that the kids earned from the show, and Delia remarks that if she even had 10% of what they'd earned, she could buy out this apple-picking business and the whole orchard and be her own boss.
She then asks Charlie what her dream is, but she's reluctant to discuss this and admits that introspection makes her quite queasy. And then changes the subject a little by insisting that they watch the episode where Kid Cop faces the Zodiac Killer.
Now, the fact that the character's called Cassidy, you think that's a Columbo reference?
Oh, it could be. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah, the best ever Columbo villain.
Well, there's that, yeah.
Yeah, Jack Cassidy. Yeah. Anyway.
We rejoin Charlie and Delia the next day as Delia speaks to somebody while Charlie picks apples.
Yeah, she just received news of Norma's death and is finding out that the funeral is the next day.
Yes, and she cannot borrow a truck because the orchard man doesn't have one to lend her, and she won't make it on time.
Yeah, she doesn't really want to go, but it's the only way that she will have any chance of trying to get some of this money back that she is due.
But Charlie offers to help out.
She's going to drive her, and we see them rock up on the Friday at the mansion in her Barracuda. Now, it's not necessarily an issue, but a question.
Okay.
You're on the run from a mafia family. Mm-hmm. You've been shot up by hitmen. They've been trailing you for, how long is this now? Months, years?
Yeah, who knows? She's gone to the trouble of changing her look.
Yeah, she's very ginger, actually. But would you drive your own distinctive car, the Barracuda? Surely the first thing you do is you sell that and get another car so that, you know, it's one of the most easily traceable.
No, they do certainly seem to be able to find her quite easily, don't they?
Yeah, get rid of the car. If that was part of her character that we knew, this was her prized possession, she was a car nut she loved, she could not possibly get rid of this car, then fair enough, but it's not.
Well, she mentions a couple of times that she likes it in season 1.
It's, what, more than not being killed?
Well, again, taking it too seriously.
Well, maybe, but I think that season 1 there was more of a realistic set of things, and this is becoming a little bit more cartoony. I'm not necessarily saying that as a criticism, it's just an observation.
Understood. I don't disagree. I think that's probably fair.
Anyhow, Charlie advises her to get in, get the cash, and then buy the orchard. But Delia wants her to come in with her and assures her that no one in there is going to be mourning. And so, admitting she is curious to meet 4 kid cops, she agrees.
Yeah, and for the second time this episode, someone is told to leave their keys in the car because Amber said it to Felicity when she arrived at the cliff. Mm-hmm. It's a weird thing to say to people.
It is a weird thing to say, yeah.
Especially if it came up twice.
Mm-hmm. Inside, Charlie marvels at the kid cop money on display, and they say hello to the different members of staff before entering the lounge, where she is amazed to see all the kid cops together.
That's it.
She offers her sympathies, but of course, this elicits no emotional response, and so Delia simply introduces the different characters.
Okay, Charlie, this is Bibi. She's a DJ.
Yeah, I noticed that. Cool cans. Hey.
And this is Cece. She's a teacher. Associate Professor of Comparative Literature.
Whoa. How'd you get French?
Cece took a year of postgrad in Quebec City, and now she can't get over it. What Bibi does not understand is that one adopts the accent of one's peer group. This is why Didi sounds like she grew up on a trawler ship.
Oh, okay.
Have you guys seen The Will? I assume that's why we're all here. Norma's lawyer's on the way. We all know who's getting everything. The best we can hope for is that Amber throws us a crumb. Well, where is Amber? Amber took a walk to process her new life as an orphan. She's been really bonkers lately, even for Amber. You will love this.
Hey.
That's Amber. She's been blowing up the group chat for weeks with this craziness. Look at that nose ring. Ugh. It's just a cry for attention.
Oh, gosh, I mean, doesn't that mean she might just need help or something?
Merde, no.
Merde.
Oh, jeez. Amber just sent another video. Oh, I cannot take Amber right now.
Oh, wow. Gosh. Boy, oh boy. You guys were really hot stuff for a minute, huh? Oh, what's this big boy for? Pointy.
That's the Latvian Critic Award for Best Intergenerational Kiss. We won it 5 times in a row.
Oh. I'm sorry. So, favorite co-star?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Kid Cop's first love. No, Tamara Dobson. She played the ghost of our paternal great-great-grandmother in Kid Cop Civil War Christmas.
I forgot that it was so metaphysical. It's ahead of its time, really.
Well, season 9 took place entirely in the mind of a coma patient that Kid Cop's evil twin shot in the neck.
It was a beautiful season in the coma. It's gorgeous.
Do you think that's an idea for season 3 of Poker Face?
What, intergenerational kissing?
Well, that it could all be in a coma.
Well, possibly then, yeah.
I'm sure it's not what Life on Mars was about.
Yeah.
Do you know Tamara Dobson?
The actor?
Yeah,
No.
there's reference there. Obviously, we know Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was in this show,
Obviously,
which means he also exists as an actor in the same universe.
Okay, so I've got a question that has reminded me of. Obviously, there is a massive nod to Columbo in terms of the character of Charlie. Do we think that she knows, like, is Columbo in this universe? Is she? And okay, do we think that she is leaning in as the character? Is Charlie Cale aware of Columbo and
Acting
in
like
some
him.
way acting like him when she's in these situations?
I think that's one of those things that it's fun to wonder about.
Yeah.
It'd be really upsetting if they mentioned it.
Well, I'm not sure if it's really upsetting, but yeah, probably best if it's restrained. You know, no one says, yeah, no shit, Columbo or something like
The
that.
problem is, as soon as you say it,
Yeah.
it becomes a thing that folk think overanalyze.
Yeah,
People like us.
yeah, sure, but it's weird that no one. We've established that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, so he exists. So Columbo, you'd assume exists. It's the real world. So no one's ever said, by the way, you know what? You sound very much like Columbo.
Yeah, no. Tamara Dobson, I should say, was best known as Cleo from Cleopatra Jones, which I thought maybe you would have watched.
Nah.
I thought it was interesting in that clip. Cece says that Amber's been blowing up the group chat for weeks, but we saw on Amber's phone that she hadn't sent them anything since that first selfie until she sent the suicide message to the group chat.
Did we? Yeah. Okay.
Unless it's just she's just exaggerating about that one image that she sent.
Yeah, maybe. At this point, they receive Amber's apparent suicide video message.
BB's the first to notice it.
So we go to the bluff, the cliffside, and the gruesome end is confirmed as the three sisters and Charlie peer over the edge to see their mutilated, dead sibling.
They do. Back at the house.
The mansion. We should say this is not just a house.
No, it's not.
I mean, in Matlock, she lived in a mansion, but this is something else.
Yes, it's like almost 1.5 times that size.
I think it's one of these things, but you get so big that it becomes smaller again, like how you refer to it. So a mansion is a big house, but then you get a house. So
Yeah.
when it becomes so big,
Like a
it's
country house.
Country house, yeah.
We've skipped ahead here quite a bit because, not us, the show has skipped ahead at the start of this next scene because they've now heard what the will says. And the three sisters who have been left behind harangue Paul, the lawyer, with questions.
Yeah, who is Felicity? Was Amber aware of the will? And how did Norma make so much from the royalties?
I love that. It's huge in Indonesia.
Yeah, so he answers yes. Amber did know. Felicity is the secret fifth sister, and yeah, Indonesia was
A big market. At this point, the doorbell goes, and it's what we saw earlier from Amber's perspective when she comes back as Felicity to the house.
yes. Outside, Charlie watches as the cops bring their sniffer dog lady, Diana, to find the missing leg, and she's puzzled as to why it's missing. I wasn't puzzled, and this a few times this is
It could have been a
mentioned.
train, it could have been dragged anywhere.
Yeah. It's been literally, it could be thrown anywhere, it could be caught.
Yeah, as one of the cops says, it's on a public beach. Anything could have happened.
Yes.
So there's a train line running through a public beach. That seems risky.
Yeah. In the lounge.
Felicity introduces herself to the others, and we get a Gremlins reference from Charlie.
What was that?
She says, another one, they need to stop feeding these girls after midnight.
So as she walks in, she calls BS to herself as she listens to Amber describe Felicity's life experiences as her own.
Yes.
However, the other sisters are more interested in what she intends to do with the money which they believe was stolen from them.
There's almost a hint of sympathy for Amber at this point, as Cece says she was treated particularly badly, although she was a bad actor, and they counter Felicity's assertion that Amber won a People's Choice Award by saying it was a weak year.
Yes. Also, they laugh at her attempt to turn butt munch into a catchphrase.
Yes.
Amber barely manages to keep her act up as she naturally tries to defend herself. And this strengthens her resolve as she stands and plainly informs them that she will be taking all the money for herself as per the will.
This was a bad strategy.
Why?
Because if she'd given them a decent whack of money, there would have been fewer questions. She
Yes,
could have
that's,
walked
what,
away.
that's what she's doing.
She's taking it all for herself.
Uh-huh.
If she'd given them...
No, that's what she's about to... She's got a contract to give them money.
A small amount of money, though. But if she'd given them a big amount of money that they weren't upset about, then there wouldn't have been all the questions.
I mean, it depends. We don't find out how much. I'm assuming that 150, between three of them, is that right?
Yeah, so 450,000.
It's not a lot. You wouldn't assume based on the size of the house.
That the estate is tens of millions.
Yes.
So if she's give them a million each or something, or even 2 million, whatever.
Yeah.
If you go with a big number, then they're like, oh, fair enough.
Okay,
Or
so-
even split it equally.
No, don't split it equally. You want more. Right? It's been left to you.
No, I just mean in terms of trying to get away with it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Things start to get heated, and Charlie decides to leave. Why would she leave at this point?
Oh, I don't know.
I
suppose she thinks it's a family matter.
I don't know. You're curious, aren't you? Your mind there should be. Anyway, the sisters threaten Amber with lawsuits. However, Amber has already considered this position and plans to mitigate against it by offering them each, as we discussed, 150k, which I have noted here seems very low.
Yeah.
This is an offer to walk away.
Yes, don't sue.
Yeah, she's got contracts for them.
And Paul points out that he can personally attest that Norma was of sound mind, and therefore the chances of contesting the will are not high, or successfully anyway.
So BB and CC each decide to put pen to paper. However, Delia refuses to have her money stolen twice and storms out, which Paul explains is a problem.
Yes, because if she sues, it could hold up the estate for years and nobody would get anything.
Amber rushes out after her and tries to reason with her, but is disarmed when her response is that Norma was a monster who effectively killed Amber, and all that is left is the money that is rightfully theirs, and she won't let her take this from her.
Yeah. She borrows Charlie's car, keys having been left in it, to clear her head, and asks Amber to let Charlie know that it is Amber, to let Charlie know that she'll be back soon.
But back inside the hallway, Amber sees Delia's jacket and hat. She puts them on before striding back into the lounge, where she pretends to grudgingly accept the offer.
It was a really hammy imitation of Dee Dee. She F this and F that, and even Cece's like, that's a lot of F.
Yes. She signs the contract and then turns on her heels.
At this point, Charlie is chomping on a turkey leg and follows her. I suppose that's where Charlie went to the buffet.
Yeah. So, yes, before she can get changed back into her own clothes, she finds herself in, I think it's a bedroom. It's obviously a doll's house.
I think so, and it's a hilariously awkward conversation now between her and Charlie, who thinks she's Delia.
Yeah, she has to improvise, as I think the orchard owner is mentioned. Obviously, she's no idea what Charlie's talking about.
No.
And she explains she's wearing a hat and jacket now she is cold.
Which Charlie doesn't buy for a moment.
No, she's chomping on this massive drumstick. And
Very Henry VIII, isn't it?
Yeah, or Robin Hood, something like that. And tells her that most of what her secretive sister is saying is total BS, and demonstrates that she knows such things by pointing out that she just lied about being cold.
She then offers to demonstrate her magic power.
How?
She tells, we'll say Amber, to pick up something from the table of sparkly things while Charlie has her back turned, and say some things that she is holding, and Charlie will say whether it's true or not.
However, she picks up the hammer, or a hammer.
She looks tempted to use this hammer.
Yeah, she's contemplating that for sure. She obviously decides against killing her, and in frustration asks her how this ability works in real life. Charlie can't explain and would rather speak to Paul about who Felicity might be.
Yes, because if Felicity committed fraud, there could be a reason to overturn the will.
And she's confident that no matter what the dirty, rotten scoundrel is up to, things will be okay. So did you get that reference?
I just did it there when you said it.
Yeah, to Dirty, Rotten Scoundrels.
Yeah, I think that's
You've not seen it, have you?
Is that a film? Is that a series?
Great. Shut up. So in the lounge, as BB sets up her DJ decks, Charlie and Amber sit beside Paul, who's eating lunch, and they try to figure out what is true and what is fiction.
Norma's lawyer. Oh, gosh, that must have been a hell of a gig.
Paul Fletcher. Who are you?
Nobody. I just Delia's apple dumpling gang. So this long-lost sister you dug up, Felicity Price. Is she really a mixed media visual artist?
Are you asking if she's a real artist? I'm not sure I'm qualified to assess that. I did take an intro to art history course during my semester at sea, but the professor was not very engaging.
It's too bad. No. Look, we just want to know if she is who she says she is.
Oh, I see. Yes, she is. Here's her. Here's her art.
All right, that's her. Okay, you got celebrities, cool. Oh boy, sandwiches. It's okay, it's hella eclectic, but yeah, I guess that's art. Hey, what about the backstory? Raised on the run by gambling addicts and so on. Does that really check out?
Yes, her father had the shady creditors of a gambling addict, and he died in a car crash, just as Felicity said.
Gosh, and was she really in the car with him when that happened?
Yeah, I looked up the hospital records. What is this all in aid of?
Well, here's the thing, Paul the lawyer. When you say something about Felicity, it's true. But when Felicity says the same thing, it's bullshit. So I'm a mixed media artist. Bullshit. My father was a gambler. He died in a car crash. True. I was in the car with him when he died. Bullshit. It seems like she only lies when she's talking about herself or something.
But Paul proved all of that, so maybe your truth thing is just broken.
So at that point there, Charlie sees BB unveil a picture of the sisters and Norma.
I love that. She flips it over as their funeral picture.
In a Kid Cop Nights publicity shot. And this sets a marble off in Charlie's
that's what I've
head.
said as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
There you go. Right.
She confirms that they all played the same character on the show and has a brilliant idea.
Well, this is the intro clip as well where they talk about the try to work out what's a sex triplet.
Charlie's idea is that there's a secret sixth sister who's now pretending to be the fifth sister.
Yeah, but Paul states there were only 5 births. He's checked this out, and just one of them was a secret sister.
We never find out why Felicity was separated from the others.
Nope.
And
it's never mentioned. They're never curious.
No. It's a very odd one, because surely the mother would... I don't know. Maybe it was some...
And it's not like there's like an older sister or a younger one where he would have...
Yeah, they're all exactly the same.
It's like a litter of puppies. I'll have that one.
Yes, I'll take the runt.
Yeah.
The one with one leg.
Yeah.
Well, that's entirely possible. It could be if it was congenital that Norma said, I don't want that one. Given the personality that we've seen from Norma.
Yeah, quite possible, yeah.
Anyway, we then get BB starting to play a dance version of the Kid Cop Nights theme as Charlie swipes Paul's turkey leg and heads to the vestibule with Amber.
Yeah, Amber pretends to give up, but Charlie tells her they need to confront Felicity. She agrees, but Charlie tells her no. She has the experience, she will crack her open after the first lie, and so is pushed forward.
She pushes herself forward, and she says that she's done a surprising number of these interrogations in a reference to season 1.
Of course.
At this point, Amber, over Charlie's shoulder, spots Delia returning in the car.
Yeah, and then there's a quick misunderstanding between her and Charlie, as she obviously has no idea about the recent conversations before. Amber changes back into Felicity, or into the Felicity character, and is joined by Charlie in the bedroom.
Yes, this is Charlie coming to interrogate her.
She doesn't hold back.
No, she is literally doing an interrogation, and although Amber denies lying, Charlie pins her down and accuses her of sounding like Blanche Dubois. Reference, you understand this thing?
Yes.
I'm sure everyone will know who Blanche Dubois is.
Sure. Every time I hear Blanche, I think of the Golden Girls.
Yeah,
but she's obviously named Blanche Devereaux as the Golden Girls character, which I'm sure is a nod to Blanche Dubois.
This is one of those shows I imagine if you go back and check, they were probably in their early 50s.
A lot of them were, and in fact, I don't even want to say it because it's so well known, I think, but Estelle Getty is younger than B. Arthur.
Right.
In real life. They're all dead now.
Oh well.
Anyhow.
One of them was cremated on Columbo.
Yes.
Anyway, there's another podcast about that. You can go and listen to that if you want to. There's an emotional response from Felicity at this point, who fights back against Charlie's truth-seeking.
Yeah, so I think what she does here is she almost method acts. She believes in what she's saying. She tells the truth in such a way that Charlie believes it. So she talks about the suffering that she has underwent and the need to effectively create characters.
Yeah.
And she gets through an English accent, a German accent. She creates enough of a truth.
Yeah, and Charlie sees this as being pretentious, but accepts it to be her truth.
And with the power balance now shifted, Amber orders her out and ignores her plea to help out Delia.
Outside, while we hear BB indoors dedicating a track to Amber, we see Delia be utterly confused when Charlie reports to her about this interrogation.
We cut to them in the garden after having worked out that Charlie was talking to an imposter. But they can't understand why one of them was pretending to be her until...
Of course, it could have been any of them because they all look the same. Until, yes, as you say, Paul comes over with the cheque for Delia, exposing the reason for her being impersonated as signing away her rights.
Charlie wants her to tear it up, but Delia seems to have been beaten down and has resigned herself to taking the money and moving on. Now, if we didn't know Charlie better, there are a couple of times that she seems to be almost trying to ingratiate herself with Delia for financial benefit. If we didn't...
There's no stage where it seems like Delia's going to get any money, though.
No, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, Charlie doesn't think that 150k is enough to buy an orchard.
No, but she'd rather have... I think she just wants peace of mind now. She can't be bothered with all the...
Delia does, but Charlie admits herself that she is financially illiterate and it keeps her up at night.
Yes. Just then, Lady Di runs over and grabs the turkey leg from Charlie. And when the cops come over, there's a brilliant exchange where they claim that there are lots of people who would take a human leg, and you can't expect people to simply leave it alone on a beach.
Yes. Some of the examples were a wild boar, a passing hobo riding the rails. I think I alluded to that one earlier on, and maybe a seagull.
Yeah, I think that might be my favourite line of the episode.
It's a good one.
Yeah. One of them then mentions that he has Footloose.
This is even worse for him than the foot being missing, is that he's now got an earworm.
Yeah. And this is a nearly eureka moment for Charlie as she pulls out Felicity's portfolio brochure.
Yes, she realises that all the works of art in this brochure are foot related. And the two of them, Delia and Charlie, then look at the back cover and get a moment of realisation.
Can you remember what the pieces of art were?
I can remember some of them. So you've got Kevin Bacon in Footloose.
Uh-huh.
You've got a foot-long roll from Subway.
Yeah.
You've got a ruler that's a foot long.
Uh-huh.
What was the other one?
Finally, Daniel Day-Lewis in my left foot.
And my left foot.
Yes. So with Amber's body missing a foot, it all seems too coincidental, but she can't quite put her finger on what's going on until it appears she can.
Back in the lounge.
Yes, Amber is flirting with Paul when the pair enter and bring the party to an abrupt end, and Charlie begins her summation, a la Christie, or perhaps even Knives Out, and with a touch of Columbo.
Felicity. I figured you out. Before Amber saw Norma's new will, she was coping just fine with her mother's illness, right?
That's true. She was very strong.
Yes, but then Norma names Felicity Price as the new heir of the Kid Cop Gazillions, and, Amber begins to transform. No hairdo, weird piercings, starting to dress like some kind of a cartoon plumber.
Excusez-moi, she was having a breakdown.
Yes, but not for the reason you think. You see, those changes that Norma made to the will, well, they were causing Amber to become homicidal, not suicidal. Isn't that right, Felicity?
Well, I wouldn't know. You stopped my set for this?
May I? Thanks, pal.
You're welcome.
And I can't go on without her. So I've come to the bluff to jump. So when you see...
Bullshit. And pretty lame acting on top. Suffice to say, I can tell based on this video alone that, she's lying. Amber had no intentions of jumping.
You really shouldn't speak ill of the dead like this.
Well, that's okay, because Amber isn't dead. Felicity Price is. Amber's new look was a disguise, designed to make everyone believe that the body at the bottom of the bluff was her, when in fact, it was actually the body of your long-lost sister, Felicity Price.
Sacre bleu. Oh my God.
It was a crazy smart scheme. Oh boy. But there was just that one thing about Felicity that you couldn't fake, wasn't there? Something that you found out about after you murdered her. Her prosthetic foot.
No, shut up.
Brilliant.
Superb. And at this point, and at Delia's prompting, Amber has to expose herself, they think.
However, it appears they've got it wrong when she gives her leg a tap, and it sounds like the Tin Man.
Yeah, and this floors Charlie, who apologises profusely.
which encourages Amber to indignantly challenge her accusation and describe the humiliation as the others shake their heads in disbelief and disappointment.
But she is acting in a hammy way, and she does tell a lie here, but it doesn't seem that Charlie picks up on that so much as the sparkles on her leg.
Yes, which gives her away, and so she gets the inappropriate award down and proceeds to drop it so that it pierces her shoe.
That's an assault.
It is, yeah. Which causes Amber to release her catchphrase as she falls with blood spurting from the wound. The art revealing the artist.
It was a great moment because there's initially no reaction at all, and then this blood starts going pew everywhere. It was fantastic. BB calls the cops, who arrive within a moment.
Yes, because they were already there to reveal what?
They have fingerprinted the corpse, and it's not Felicity.
No. I also like this line as well, where Dopey, is it Cece or Dee asks if for the first time, I think she's just pondering whether they've got the same fingerprints or not.
What? Oh no, wait, it is Felicity. It's not Amber.
Yeah.
Why did they have Amber's fingerprints to compare it to?
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
Anyway. Yes, at which point the cop points out that they are not clones, but twins. Or
they're not twins, are they?
Quins,
I don't know. Yeah. I'll be perfectly honest. At that point, I went, yeah, right enough. I've never thought about it. The twins have the same fingerprints.
DNA, so quite close, I think.
Yeah, anyhow.
Outside, as Amber is taken away, Delia reflects that she wishes she'd got to know her Felicity, I think.
Yeah. The talk then turns to money, and Delia confirms that the remaining sisters will now get all of the cash, and then offers Charlie the chance to join her in the orchard business. And again, that's what I'm saying. It's almost like this is what Charlie's been waiting for.
Angling for it, yeah. And she seems like she's going to go for this. However, she cannot because she's once again chased away by the comedy hitmen. Yeah,
a bullet pierces a cup that she's drinking from, and she is reminded why she cannot settle down. And that's us for another week. A thoroughly enjoyable episode.
Fantastic. And Cynthia Erivo in every role was really good. But my favourite was BB.
You say this, and I understand that she is now a big star, but I don't know who she is.
She's got well, we'll get to her.
Yeah, I know she has, but I've nothing I've seen her in. So
okay.
I've not watched the new Wicked movie, and I don't think I've seen her in anything else. Well, I might have seen her in something, but not.
She's a
star.
singer as well, so I think she was better known for her singing than her acting.
What type of singing?
Like stage musicals and stuff like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
We'll get on to her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the questions we've already kind of covered this. So why did the father take one of the five sisters? Maybe they're under the litter, like we said. I assume the Slayer rule will prevent Amber from getting a share of the estate.
The what?
The Slayer rule, because she murdered Felicity and they're inheriting from Felicity.
Yes.
She won't be entitled to any of the money.
I'd have thought so.
And I've noted here that the two guys chasing Charlie lack Benjamin Bratt's charisma.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this episode?
No, I think we've discussed it.
We have talked about it for a long time.
Yeah, you're doing the trivia this season.
I am. Right? You did it last time in Poker Face.
Did I, yeah?
Yeah, well, I'll do something.
Take over the reins,
until I miss too many things and you insist.
Yeah, I've got to double check your work and you leave out some massive star that you've not heard of.
I do sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, you missed out Paul Giamatti or something?
No, that was you, as you very well, as you know. Yeah.
Ryan Johnson directed this, and I think you covered him last season, so I'm not going to get into that one. The writer was Laura Dealey. It's her first episode of Poker Face, but she's was a staff writer on one series of The Crown and has worked quite a lot on the show Ozark. Cynthia Erivo, who played Amber, BB, Cece, Delia and Felicity, and each of them pretending to be others.
She was brilliant,
at various points. Yeah, and as we've noted, she's one of the most famous faces around these days. Apart from for you, she's obviously Elphaba in the movie version of Wicked.
You say obviously, I mean, I'm not sure that's obvious. If you've not seen the movie,
the biggest movies of last year.
Really?
Yeah. Was it meant to be good? She's got a second one coming out this year.
Was it a big success?
Huge Oscar nominations and everything.
Right, there you go.
On a side note, one of my cats is called Elphaba. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she has won Grammy Awards, Emmy Awards and Tony Awards and had multiple Academy Award nominations.
Really?
Yes.
Multiple Academy, for what?
2 for acting and 1 for music.
So what's her acting awards?
So Wicked, she was nominated for Best Leading Actress and for a movie called Harriet.
Right, not even heard of it.
Yeah, if you didn't see Wicked or Harriet, you might have seen her in Widows or playing Aretha Franklin in the TV series Genius.
Again, I've not even heard of these.
She's not got a huge CV on screen, but she's done a lot of
She's English, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's 38 years old. Mm-hmm. I suspect she's going to be one of the biggest names around for a few years.
Yeah, no doubt. I'd just like to say, totally passed me by. I think it's just a type of movies. Although I think she's in a lot of maybe shows. I've seen her like she's not in some British, but she's not in some fairly high profile dramas back in the day. No,
maybe when she was younger. It's not one of the ones that I've noted down as being memorable. We'll move on to Paul Fletcher, played by Jin Ha. He also has won a Grammy. He played Anas on a recording of Jesus Christ Superstar in concert in 2019. He also has a Peabody as part of the cast of Pachinko in 2023. This is his only poker face so far, but he's been a recurring character on Only Murders in the Building, and he was in the 2024 film Civil War, which I thought was okay.
Is that another Captain one?
Not the Marvel one.
Right, okay.
It was an actual Civil War in America in the future, near future. Norma, as you said, was played by Jasmine Guy, a familiar face to some. She's been on screen since the 80s.
That's more like it. I only know actors from the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
She's obviously been, you mentioned Different World, Harlem Nights. She was in Grey's Anatomy, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Vampire Diaries. She was quite noted for that performance. She's also an accomplished dancer and a stage performer, as well as a singer and a writer. She was a friend of Tupac Shakur, and the book that she wrote was a biography of his mother, who she's friends with. She's now 63 years old, and as we just saw, still active. Everybody else in this was kind of minor roles. We've noted already that Joseph Gordon-Levitt got a name drop. He was obviously in season 1 episode Escape from Ship Mountain. There's a small Matlock connection.
Okay.
The casting director, Mary Vernew of Betty May Inc., which is her company, I think, she worked on both shows, as well as The Last of Us, and in fact, a ton of major productions going all the way back to the 90s. I don't even know if she personally did it, or it's her company, so she gets the credit.
Yeah.
Either way, there's a tie there.
Any other trivia
Just
for us?
bits and pieces. The sisters' names began A, B, C, D, and F.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's a grading system, or if they missed out E for a reason.
Yeah.
This, for me, brought to mind, I said to you before we started recording, the Columbo episode Double Shock, where Martin Landau played two separate villains, and started the debate, did he play multiple Columbo killers, which we covered on that podcast.
Yep.
The book that Cookie was reading in the car park was Fear of Flying by Erica Jong. It's a controversial 1973 work that figured in the development of second wave feminism. What do you know about second wave feminism?
Not as much as first wave, to be fair.
First wave...
Jermaine Greer.
Well, this is 60s to the 80s, and it ended in the feminist sex wars that heralded the third wave of feminism. It was particularly about the expansion of the notion of feminism to sexuality.
Okay.
The location that they filmed at, the big house, was the Widewater Estate in New York State, not too far from New York City, actually. This building was originally built by a guy called Leroy Frost, who was a stockbroker, a sportsman, and philanthropist in the late 19th century, what they called the Gilded Age.
Oh, there you go. It was an impressive setting.
It was. Any other trivia before we go into little bits and pieces?
Nope.
Episode title, The Game is Afoot, is a Sherlock Holmes reference, obviously. The outro, the music was Palindrome by They Might Be Giants, with the appropriate lyric, Someday Mother will die and I'll get the money.
Ah, there you go.
Who did crimes this week? Amber killed both Norma and Felicity. Charlie stabbed somebody with him in a ward.
Did she kill Norma?
Well, this is the question. I think she committed a crime by not helping Norma. I suspect, however, the next thing, will they get away with it? She will not get away with killing Felicity, but I don't imagine she would be prosecuted for Norma's death. There's no reason for anyone to think it wasn't natural.
No, she was dying.
She was dying.
She herself said the doctor says she had 2 weeks.
Yeah. Any other thoughts before we wrap?
Nope. Looking forward to episode 2.
Yeah, next week, Charlie spends some time in a funeral home making a movie in Last Looks.
Okay, until then,
cheerio.
Bye-bye.